lecture series of third part of national webinar on multidisciplinary approaches to folk life, challenges and perspectives, organized by Department of Modern Indian Languages and Literary Studies, University of Delhi. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce myself as the moderator of the session. My name is Shruti and I am a PhD research fellow working on the representation of sex workers in Indian narratives with Department of Modern Indian Languages and Literary Studies. Today we have with us Professor N. Bhakta Vatsala Reddy from Hyderabad, delivering a special lecture on situating the cultural text within scroll narration of Kaki Pidigela performance. Sir is Honorable Director of Institute of Indian Folklore, Folklore Society of South Indian Languages, St. Xavier's College, Trivandrum. In his extremely rich career, he has held several prestigious academic positions, such as being a project assistant, a lecturer in Telugu, a professor of folklore in multiple institutions, such as Madurai Kamaraj University, Kerala University, Telugu University, and Trivandrum University. He has also extended his services in the administrative field as the Dean of School of Folk and Tribal Lore, the Director of the Regional Resources Center of Folk Life, and the Registrar of Potti Seramullu Telugu University, Hyderabad. Along with numerous paper and newsletter publications, Professor Reddy has 11 books credited to him and 14 books published under his supervision as an editor. He has also translated several works and is a recipient of numerous prestigious awards such as UGC Career Award, Puruskaram 2017 from American Telugu Association, Best Teacher Award from Government of Andhra Pradesh, as well as Lifetime Achievement Award from Vidya Parirakshana Samiti Tirupati. So it is a huge privilege to have you amidst us for this national webinar. And I'm extremely thankful to you for honoring us with your gracious presence. Without further ado, I would like to invite you to begin the lecture.
Okay, thank you, Shruti, and all my friends. Narayana is seen there, Rajagopal sir is seen, and Ruchi Rana is seen, and all other people. I am really very happy to associate myself with this one. I will confine to my paper now. Friend, this is Kaki Padigala is one of the artist group in Telangana. I received one project.
Sir, can you share PPT, sir?
Hello?
Can you share PPT, sir? PPT you did not share, sir.
Then I have to. Sir, what's the problem?
PowerPoint presentation, PPT, sir. Can you share PPT, sir?
Okay. Where it is? No, it's okay.
No, sir. No.
Is it
The
audible?
screen sharing is not going on. Ready, sir? Please share your screen. You can see in the green button.
PowerPoint presentation, sir.
Yeah.
Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Sir, go to first slide, sir.
It is the second slide.
Block out.
You go for slideshow, sir. You go for slideshow and then beginning of the slide automatically.
I
No.
think, yeah. Is it okay?
Make it slideshow, sir. Slideshow, slide.
Yes. Yes. Now it is all right.
Thanks.
Fine.
Yeah. Fine.
Yeah. So recently I received a grant from Indira Gandhi National Center for Arts to document and study the scroll narration of Kakapadikala, artist of Telangana, the present Telangana. They narrate Mahabharata stories along with the creation. Scroll narration mostly is to narrate creation myths in Andhra, in Telangana, and there are more than 14 groups who have taken or who use scroll for their narration. And as you all know, scroll is a pan-Indian phenomenon. It is there in Rajasthan, Bengal, Orissa, and even in Telangana and other places. So I have taken that one. Why I have taken the Kakapadikala is, before that, my point is, sir, I am getting some disturbance here. Okay. Yeah. To ascertain the categories of culture as a unit to study folklore. And we know that there are structural units and there are functional units which we know in the study of folklore. So along with that, is it possible to use or to identify the categories of culture and treat them as a minimal unit for the study of folklore, especially in the Indian context? So this is my assumption why I have come here. So to identify the categories of culture in Kakapadikala narrative tradition, then to identify the process of what is called perpetuation of categories of culture in the narrative tradition of Kakapadikala artistic community. So that means, number one, you need to identify what is or what are the categories of culture. Number two, then how to ascertain that they are the categories of culture. And then number three, how to look at their what called perpetuation in the text and the narration of the Kakapadikala artist groups. So scroll narration and Kakapadikala, as you have seen the other side of my slide. So it is the scroll which they used to hang with some what you call pestle there. On the basis of the story which they are rendering at a particular day, so they roll down the whole scroll for that. That you all know about it. So scroll narration is a genre among the storytelling traditions of Telugu land. There are more than 65 artist groups who have taken storytelling as their as a family tradition in Andhra and Telangana. So among them, nearly 14 artist groups use scroll in their narration. All these 14 groups invariably they narrate the creation with. Besides, they also narrate other stories for the benefit of their own pattern community. So the artist groups of Pujari, Korrajula, and Kakapadikala, these are the three groups who narrate Mahabharatam along with respective creation myth. So Pujari and Korrajula, these are two communities are independent communities to Padmanayaka, it's a tribe. So they are the independent communities to their tribe, that's a Padmanayaka community. And Kakapadikala, they are the their patrons are Mudira or Mutrasi communities. So all the artists have a Tyagam tradition, that is Mirase type of right to get the compensation from the patron communities that can. So it's a peculiar system that is available in Telangana for especially for the scroll narrative artist group. They have a Tyagam. That means just like what you call the right and our battlefield, these artist groups have a right on some of the villages which they got from their ancestors. From their ancestors. For that, they have a right to go to that village and to narrate these stories in front of that community. So it is a very, very interesting and one of the important aspects for the perpetuation of these art forms in Telangana. So it's not begging. People used to say that they are the dependent communities and the patron community gives something to them. It's not like that. The group, they have a right to get the what you call compensation from their patron community. So the deciding factor is the artist group, but not the patron. Of course, patron community request them due to some calamity, we are unable to pay so much of money as you demand. We will try to give so like that. They bargain and fix the the compensation. They use patam, a pictorial scroll in their narration. Scroll is a big canvas of scriptures or images of creation myths as well as other stories of their choice. And there are the different groups who the pictures, all these pictures in their canvas. It's another tradition. The main episodes are painted in this canvas. Here the important thing is, as we present in our PowerPoint, they also present the stories in PowerPoint. So the main theme where they can narrate the story for a longer period. So they picture. So the photos or pictures make the artist to narrate the story for a longer period. So that is the important aspect of this canvas. Mudira to Vrutantam, it's a creation myth. It not only can explain the creation myth of the Mudira or patron community, but also the artist community. That's a Kaja Padgala. So same creation myth, it gives both the what you call the it gives information on both the communities. So they narrate Mahabharatam from the birth of Shantana to Duryodhana. Then they conclude with what you call Sarangadhara, a legend. In the sense, they try to equate the Sarangadhara who has come from the Janamediya. So like that, they are equating the collections. Okay. So scroll and the Kajapadagala also narrate some of the stories which do not have any occurrence in the classical Mahabharata, like the Kannur feeling, the marriage of Karna, where both Kauravas, Pandavas combined together to fight another king to get the what called bride for Karna. It's a very interesting story there. And there is Sahadeva Kalyana. And Sahadeva, as we all know, is a very intelligent and he is able to predict the past, present, and future. So that is why he knows that if he marries, there may be a problem to the other the brothers of Pandava. So he waited for that. At last, on pacification of others, he got married. And the Bhimaniki Vishapadam, there is a poisonous food given to Bhima when he visited Kaurava. And that story is a 2 days story. 2 days story means 10 hours they narrate that story continuously. And Garamala Kota is the story of Bhadrakali, Alambasura, Hindasura, Bakasura, all such characters which you know. And Rampala is son of Nakula, and the story goes for 3 generations. The grandchild, he fights with the what you call Pandavas, and the story, it goes like that. And the Satya Navaloka is another interesting story. Satya Navaloka, she is the daughter of Sri Krishna, and she would like to marry Abhimanyu, the son of Arjuna. But Sri Krishna wants to marry his daughter with the son of Dusyasana. It's a peculiar theme. So they narrate these stories also. To narrate the whole Mahabharata, it takes more than 3 months for them. But nowadays, it's a very difficult for the both communities as well as artists to complete the Mahabharata due to financial problem. So this is something about the particular information. And I will come to the other point. So the epic narration is an integrated system with the constituents like text, narration, and perpetuation of culture. So whenever we talk about the folk accounts, usually we take the text and we analyze the text. So in the analysis, we take both the textual, what we call study, as well as the performance study. But here, what we are missing is the what we call the perpetuation of culture. How the cultural aspect is perpetuated through text and narration. So these 3 elements lead to what we call elements of effective narration. That's what I feel now. So in general, epic text is mostly a conventional text which includes story in a chronological order, characters and characterization, major events which are very important because the major events were given much importance both by the artists as well as the community by having the rituals and other what you call other ingredients of that performance, and a culturally significant material culture. So this is more important because as part of the narration or as part of the text, they try to emphasize the importance of the material culture, like the food grain, or peculiar trees or plants, and all other items have come into that context. And there are people who used to play a special role during this performance. So that's also very important when we are talking about the what was this kind of epic. And there are sporadically distributed categories of culture, and we'll come to that point later. So what I'm trying to say is, if it is a epic, it's a ritual oriented, it is a text oriented, it's a performance oriented, and it's a community oriented, and there is a specific time and duration for the performance of this art form. And what are the elements of text? So introducing the character, sometimes with the more adjective, and the characterization. They try to narrate the physique, noble quality, or family connection. So like that, they want it. Suppose they want to introduce Bhishma or Karna or any particular character, they don't say that Arjuna or Karna. And they try to give the geological collection of that one. And sometimes they try to narrate or describe their physics, costumes and other items, and also their noble quality, how he did in previous, like that. They are trying to explain the what to call physics as well as the noble quality or family connection of that particular character. And the genealogy. So genealogy is one of the important factors of all this scroll narration, which they are trying to repeat again and again for the benefit of the what we call patron community. And sometimes the actors, as in other performing arts, he takes the role of character. That's he dramatizes the character role and the justification of character. So this is another important aspect which we come across in this scroll narration. That is, whenever they introduce a character, they try to justify why we are introducing this character. So some of the items like a character, event, places, time, and time, direction. Direction also is having important aspect in this epic. Direction means in which direction the god or person or a particular event should take place. So like that, there are some restrictions of that. And the comment or affiliation in the human relations by the characters itself. Okay. The team is the 5 members, that is not necessary. The narration starts with the announcement or commencement of the narration, commencement of the performance, prayer to God, goddess, guru, audience, and briefing the narration of the previous day, because it's a continuous process, because they narrate at least for 20 to 40 days in a single village. Actually, what they have narrated the previous day is given in a nutshell, and they start the story of the day. So introduction to the narration of the day, narration of chronological order of the episode, and the rituals and the celebrations in tune with the events of the epic. So every day there will be some kind of either celebration or ritual. Ritual, mostly they are sacred, and celebrations, the other items which are prevalent among the communities. So a small break will be there after 3 hours of narration. They start by 11:30 and it goes up to 5:30 in the evening. So they give a break, a small break for half an hour or so. Before completion, one Akshaya Patra means a bowl is taken by an artist. He goes around the what you call audience to get the all, and the people they used to donate. And it is a compulsory aspect which the audience take it as their duty to donate to the artist. So this Akshaya Patra is a very important aspect. So they create an event within the text and take the Akshaya Patra to the audience. And concluding with the Mangalam is a common phenomena in Indian folk art. So audience or donation, they have a formula type of this one. Okay. And as far narration is concerned, formation of the performing group, when you want to stay, dress and costumes, musical instruments. So all such items, you are well aware of that. So these items also have a prominent role in every now I come to the the important aspect of this text and narration. That is description of categories of culture in uh, in multiple occurrences of a text. So I mean, here I would like to say, suppose there is, what is their belief system on children? What is their belief system on wife and husband? And the relationship with the father and the son, and their nature, trees, or the events, or the life cycles in village. So all such items will come under this category. They try to explain more than once. They repeat these items. It's not only for the day. These items are repeated in the whole of the performance of 40 days or 50 days, 21 days, whatever, the thing. Quite interestingly, some of these belief systems are again and again repeated in other texts of particular Telugu land. So that's why they have importance. Why we need to, identify those kind of categories. So then, this is a perpetuation through multiple texts, which and there is another process that is going on within this performance is the ritualization of few categories. So they take a few episodes from the text or narration and they ritualize it. I will come to that point later on. So propagation of community belief through the creation or caste myths is one of the important aspects of creation myths, as we all know. So this interpretative or conceptual belief shall be grouped as categories of a community, to be specific, categories of culture of a specific community. That's what I would like to propose before the scholar. So what I'm trying to say, it's not the text and the narration that matter. Why the community invite the author to narrate the same story for years together for same community? Is it to know only the development of the story alone? If that is the case, I think there need not be any repetition for such a longer period. So that means they have something else which they are fixing or which they are experiencing through the narration. So these are called the categories of culture which we can think of. So it is possible to identify the sporadically distributed categories of culture in the description of what is character, events, implements or tools, narration of nature. I have a lot of examples for that. Nature and narration of conceptual cosmological world, because they hear the important is the concept of protection. People feel that we need protection, and there is one conceptual power which is protecting us. So that's why in every act of this our community, they have this what I call conceptual word. So narration of it's called human life. It is there. Narration of human relations. So references on thinking and feeling of a community. If we analyze these items in the performance, it is possible to identify the categories of culture. So that is what I have tried, and I was able to identify some 52 categories which are available within this text and narration. Yes, we can trace them, or yes, we can group them as a categories of culture. So in the narration of an epic, a number of social conceptions, prohibition, that is more important. This one. This photo is disturbing me. I'm not able to see. Okay. The social conceptions, family relations, prohibition, process of occasion, interaction with the nature and universe shall be seen. So this is more important, which we need to identify. So in the narration of the story, so all these items will come across. So epic narration as a whole, I think touches upon, this is my assumption on the basis of Mahabharata, which you need not worry. Only just I am trying to say for that. Epic narration as a whole touches upon on educating the important and chronological order of ritual celebration. So that means if life cycle ceremonies are there, like puberty celebration or marriage celebration or death ritual, it is not in one or two sentences. It gives a detailed narration of those items. So that means the artists, they are trying to explain some of the events in detail with more example, with more narration, and bringing more such what similarities. And on reminding the community to identify with their ancestors. Why? Because genealogical connection is one of the important aspects which we come across in the narration of Mahabharata. Again and again, every character is described with a genealogical connection and ancestor worship. So these two aspects are again and again touched by our outing. I think they want to project or they want to inculcate the concept of what you call the ancestor worship and connection with our ancestors. You in Rajasthan, they have the pod culture is there. By showing one picture, they are trying to narrate their own ancestors. So like that, here also, there is a possibility why they are repeating this genealogical connection. So to keep order of life of individual in community, in conformity with community. This is very interesting. It's only contextually we can, I think, enjoy this one. That in Melam, there are 5 people, the main singer and the chorus. One of the chorus, he tried to comment on the audience. How so and so is like that. Like that, the comments, that is very interesting. How a model wife should be, but how the wives in the present day context are. So they try to equate. Again and again, they repeat such kind of thing. How we are son and father. So like that, this kind of repetition, is very important. So they want to make the community to think about these things. And also I can tell you 1 or 2 examples. The Abhimanyu and Satyanavaloka. Abhimanyu, he tells Satyanavaloka, okay, I think my parents and your parents, they are not obliging our marriage. So what we can do is, we can have pleasure. And let us meet. So like that he tells. Then immediately she tells, no, that's not go. If you meet before marriage, it is degrading the what you call character of a woman, which is not advisable. Like that, she narrates for more than 15 minutes on the what you call these aspects of character, Salem, how to protect it. So in another context, Abhimanyu, Satyanavaloka, she tells him, okay, we'll do one thing after a narration of after a long period. Again, they meet because of the father of the other people. She tells, okay, let us alone. Our parents will not oblige our marriage. I think let us alone. Then he tells, it's called Abhimanyu. Elopement is not at all good for her. It spoils the what you call the prestige of your parents, how they nurtured you. Like that, the description goes on for minutes together on that aspect. To be frank, this kind of description or narration is not necessary for the development of the story, but to inject what you call the cultural aspect, the people are taking narration of the story as an opportunity to inject the culture within the community. I think that's what I personally feel. And who tells these stories? It's called hereditary. Again, there is what kind of weightage is given to the performers also. So hereditary artists are the custodians and the perpetuators of community culture. So they are telling about these things. So naturally, community try to give importance for their words and narration. So they discharge the duty with the utmost care. Okay. Oh. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah. The items which you have done, if you read, I can give a lot of examples for that. So children as property. This is mostly narrated in what the Telugu balance. They say, Pillalu Lelillu Pirila Kokam. That is, the what we childless family is like like a barren land. So there, the Piril Kokam is a Pirs, that's a Muslim Pirs, that's a Moharram, they take the Pirs. So like that, Pirs after the celebration, they dump it in a small cottage. Like that, a family without children is a dumping yard. So like that, they used to say. And also, number of examples are there. The status of father and mother. And, Bhishma, when he's talking with the Shantana, or they take that opportunity. Bhishma is trying to say, after all, this life, this body is given by you. I am for you like that. So Bhishma is trying to narrate the duties of a son towards his father. The narration goes on for a longer period. Such items. The relationship of wife and husband. Sorry, you know that. I can tell you, if the woman without husband is like a snake without tail. It is like a bird without a tree. It is a village without a temple. So like that, he tried to equate it with the number of items. So that means a woman should have what a husband. So that is the point which they would like to expose again and again with a lot of examples. And respect to elders and the father figures, especially among the folk songs that are mostly narrated within the family, you come across these items more. Respect to the elders and father figures. So situating the process of a marriage, when marriage is there, first they fix the bride and bridegroom, and then they fix the date, and they invite the people, and they send the invitation, and how marriage starts, how it goes on, how it ends. how they give gifts. So all such items. It's a very, very elaborately that kind of program is enacted by the artist. Here the important aspect is the community takes part in it. Just if the marriage celebration is going on in their family, they come with all kind of new dress to the bride, and there is when the bride, that's called daughter-in-law, is going for first time to their mother-in-law, they go with the sweet and lot of presentation. So all such items are carried out in this collection. So descriptions of birth and the naming ceremonies also. So this is also another important aspect where they concentrate more, they describe more. And representation of initiation and puberty celebrations, all these items, they give you important to elaborate more. And the family restrictions, so within the community, these are there. Where these categories can be seen in the performance, in the commencement and the closing, the commencement with the puja and also closing with the puja. So puja is one of the important aspects in our day-to-day life. Whenever we start a new item, new aspect, new word, we use or we invoke the God. So this is a kind of puja, which is predominantly expressed even in the folk art form. And the enactment of rituals in tune with the events of the narration. So there is a kind of enactment. While they are enacting the ritual, there are three items which I will come to the last point. There I will try to explain. So time, duration, and the space is also very important aspects which we have to identify within the text narration. So ascertainment of role to certain people, sacredness to costume, musical instruments, a binding system of a community and artist group, etc. You come across with that one. So bringing the categories of culture through ritual obligation, like sprinkling of ritual food mixed with the blend of sacrificing animal or house, cattle, and the benefit. So this is one aspect. That is, the narrators or the authors not only narrate the Mahabharata, but they also organize a festival of the familial god as part of this narration. There, they sacrifice a goat or a what called cock, depending on their financial position. They mix the blood with the ritual food that prepare, and they sprinkle or they spread it on the property of that community, houses, battlefield, their cattle, everything. So this is one important aspect that is added within the text and narration as a part of the rituals going on. So festival of familial god as part of the narration. Offering of food and food grain as a sacred event. We know that Annam Parabrahma Swarupam. So this concept is again and again repeated in the epic narration. That is, whenever they take the food and food grain, it's a sacred event. If it is a sacred event, you know how to prepare it. You cannot do it whenever you like. There is a specific time, specific people. So all such items are coming in. Tools and implement by giving a sacred status. So most of the creation made, they talk about their profession, their vocation, and the implements which they are using were given by the God. So that means they give sacredness to the implements which they are using for their day-to-day life. And this is called, they're giving sacred status. So they once they give the sacred status of being, they feel that or they think that it's a very important for them for their day-to-day life. So offering of symbols of tools, implements, and images of good, it depends on the what you call temple. Artists get a constant economic support. Here we have to see for narrating this epic, they will get constant economic support from the community, from their patron community. And also, Akshaya Patra, as I said earlier, other than this, there are offerings by the audience at the end of the narration. They come and give the money, and immediately the authors, they bless them in a formula type of blessing. It is it takes 2 to 3 minutes to bless each and every person who donate. So formula type of blessings by the artist to the patron community and the donors. For this performance, they are getting cat, kind, that's ornament, dress, and even other items they are getting. So the very purpose of so the repetition of Puranic stories, here I am coming to this point, the repetition of Puranic stories and the creative means, the stories on biographies of people who suffered a lot in their life is only to make the group to sustain even in such a difficult position. So these repetitions are not to know the chronological development of story alone. So during the process of performance, the artists make use of the context to explain on how a good wife could be and a good husband and vice versa. They concentrate more on human relations, both in a family and in a society. So the relationship among mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, brother and sister, sister-in-law and brother-in-law, the right and the privileges of daughter after marriage. The important, see here, this point which you can observe is the daughter of a particular family, she is having important role until her brother gets married. And later on, until that marriage, the paternal uncle is having importance. But after marriage, the daughter is having major role to play in the family. So that is and the importance of community head, etc., are dealt elaborately in this one. Okay. Okay, this all are commentary. So, epic text educate and recall value system and the human relations which are part of culture. Epic text. And as epic narration explain the culture embedded text and play a role of a critic and a navigator on community. So the difference is the epic text is the text which they are narrating. Narration, while narrating the text, they include other items which are relevant to the narration of the text. And those items, we can group them as what is called epic narration. So these two coming together make the performance as a meaningful one. So this is what this is a specific text and it's a narration in a specific context. It explains the structure, the context, the function, the performer, The participation, constant monitoring supporting system, specific theme, style, narrators, etc. So this is one aspect which we can see at the surface level. The second one, it enumerates the components of culture that sporadically distributed and mingled within the text and narration. So here what I'm trying to say is the categories of culture you cannot see in one place, or all the items cannot grouped in one place. They are sporadically distributed. So this is our duty to try to identify them and situate them as a categories of culture. In the lower level also, but here I am trying to say folklore is having two realms. One realm is what we are seeing at a surface level. The other
Excuse me,
realm is
sir, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
I will complete within 2 minutes now. It's
yeah,
almost
you can take 5 to 10 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So in second layer, what I'm trying to see is there is a system which is a perpetuating. So that's what I'm trying to say. So in the lower level, the deeper level also, we have two layers. One explains the knowledge, utilitarian, and the belief system. Community that developed due to interaction with the nature, universe, and the community. That means it is not the items that are sporadically distributed that matters. What we need is we need to situate them. We need to what you call group them as a categories of culture. Otherwise, there is no meaning. So we need for that one. That is to say, it exposes the systematization process of interaction with the nature, with the universe, with the fellow communities that developed distinctively by each community for generations together. So these aspects of systematization are the logical or interpretative categories of culture. So without this, we cannot study what to call this epics, and I have given how it is example. So this is the outer thing. If it is a epic text and narration, we have the outer or surface layer as well as the deeper layer. At the surface, we have text, narration. Along with the text and narration, we come across with the sporadically distributed categories of culture. At the lower level, or in the deeper level, the systematization of logical categories and the mode of what we call perpetuation of categories. Here, I would like to give only one example and conclude. One thing is, if you go through the whole text, you come across three items. One is the categories of culture are sporadically referred within the text. There will not be any description or any narration for a longer period. Only just reference. But there are some other items, maybe the items which we have seen, these are described elaborately, like a marriage, puberty, or a death ritual, all such things. And the third one is, if at the depth of their belief system, they give the ritual status. So if they have given the ritual status being, it is repeated again and again, once in a while, either annually or biannually or monthly, whatever may be the item. So this kind of repetition through ritual is one of the important aspects of the epic narration. So these items, all these items or aspects come together to think about the as or group them as categories of culture. And that's what I am trying to say. Um, I think with this, I conclude. Even though I have given the topic that is the problems and prospects, we need to raise few questions. Number one is, just like the textual units or structural units and functional units, is it possible to think about the culture units? So that's the one thing. Is it possible to identify the cultural unit? If that is the case, how to make use of this cultural unit while studying the folklore? So these are the problems which we are facing, or which we need to concentrate to explain. Okay, thank you all. Thank you, sir. Once again, I express my gratitude to the Department of Modern Indian Languages and Literature, especially Professor P.C. Patnaik sir, and all his colleagues, scholars, participants, and others. Okay, thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was such an enlightening lecture, and you explained it so well with your wonderful PowerPoint presentation. All your propositions you listed in point-wise manner, and then diagrammatically also in a tabular manner also. You elaborated upon all the important aspects within such short time period, and it was such an enlightening lecture. So thank you so much for that. And now I would like to invite questions and comments from our audience. Meanwhile, what all we have already received, I'll start taking on that.
Yeah, there is one question, whether this epic narration, shall we take it as a dramatic performance? Exactly, because when you are talking about the ritual performance tradition, we have three aspects which we have to think about. If the ritual performing tradition is taking place in a temple, it is having a wider spectrum. If it is taken as a part of the community, it is having a different structure. And if it is a family, we have different system. If it is in the temple, what you call context, definitely you come across 3 or 4 items, especially the Draupadi festival that is taking place in South India, both in Tamil Nadu and Andhra. The epic narration, daytime they narrate the whole Harikatha form. Evening, the what you call the drama type of performances, and along with that, some of the major events shall be, just enacted by taking of both the community as well as the artist. So that is very important, especially in ritual performance tradition, who have the enactment, who have the dramatization, who have the ritual, what you call obligations, more obligations, and the participation of the communities also are there. Definitely, you can think about from one single point of view. It is part of the dramatization, but not alone.
So we have another question from Ajay Kumar sir. He is asking, are they presenting the mythical characters to contemporary ruling politicians? And to add to it, he has again reframed the question, how the current politicians seems this art form?
I could not follow. I have some hearing problem. I could not follow exactly. I think anyone can help me. Yeah.
So he wants to ask, are you able to clearly hear me?
Can you send me the message?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think that will be good.
Sir, it is there in chat box, sir. Please check the chat box, sir.
So on
Chat
this,
box లో ఉంది చూడండి. Chat box open చేయండి, sir. Please check it in chat box, sir. You click on chat box, sir.
there is green option for share screen. Just aside of that, there is an icon for chat.
So I think, yeah. So I can see some of the messages. I will try to answer. Number one is this Ajay Kumar. Are they presenting the mythical characters to contemporary ruling politicians? Ajay, because you are the vice president of Folklore Academy, and you know what is going on. Because all mythical characters, now they are giving a chance to the politician to give the performance outside. Only the characters are repeated or performed outside, but not the what you call epic text. It's not the epic text. People, they dress themselves. Even you and I can dress like that artist, and you go and you could play for that. No problem. But I think that's a different thing. And there is one more Ruchi Rana. Diverse cultural categories and therefore become support system of sustenance of the community itself. Financial constraints. Regarding the financial constraints in the sense, what I mean is, I think what I mean is, if the artist community stays in particular village as a part of the Tyagam, all those needs, that is their food, their whatever, once upon a time, it's only toddy. Now they take the brandy and other items. They have to support them. This all extra with the Tyagam. Because Tyagam is a fixed amount, cash and kind. And that is extra. Other than that, these people, they have to meet their expenditure on their food and their what you call this brandy and other items. And also, they have to engage them all these days, except the time of performance. Rest of the time, it is the burden or duty of the community to take care of them. So naturally, nowadays, if they stay for 3 months, they have to pay them lakhs of rupees, which is highly impossible in the present day context, because quite interestingly, people feel that only rich community will support the what you call the artistic community. It's not like that. 90% of the artist groups are supported by the weaker sections in the thing. Low rich community, low OC community is patronizing the artist group. Once in a while, they may give money, but it's not like this. And you know that Pujari artist group is having 52 villagers to give the performance. That means you just think about the take of 1 month in the each village. It takes 52 months to come to the first village. So they have such a thing. So it is there. So that is what I was trying to say is, nowadays, patron community is unable to meet the expenditure of artists. That's why they cut short the duration. And as a researcher, a scholar, it is our drawback to document the whole of Mahabharata. I tell you, I have documented 72 hours of video recording of this one. But after documentation, I was able to see only even half of the performance were not recorded by me. And even that half comes to A4 size BTP, some 1,500 pages. So it is not a joke. If we have any funding agency, there are artists who can narrate, but it is our duty to feed them because they don't have any property to live lavishly. So that's why I told it that way. Dramatic. How the current politics also I have said. Narayanappa. Yeah. Okay. It's only just appreciation. Then Mahesh Kumar Day. How do you look at the future of this narrative tradition by modern youth when they move away from their tradition? Yeah, really, it's a very important aspect. We always insist or feel the artist growth should not change. So what we need is the architect quality of the artist. But personally, we need to develop ourselves. Because who need to develop ourselves, who need education, who need employment, and we need the whole kind of comfort. But artists should not go. So this is the attitude that is going on even among the scholars. This should not go. Definitely, it is the duty of the community in the sense, the people to protect the art form. It's because once upon a time, I can tell you, because as a man who worked with them for more than 15 years, I was with the artist. I can tell you, see, the major problem is, major aspect is, the artists never feel about their future. They never feel about what you call keeping for future. They don't have any shelter. They don't have money. What all you give by reaching the another village, they spend everything. That means the community was supporting them. They were confident enough. But now, community is not able to meet them to such an extent. So naturally, the younger generation, they are going to the school, colleges, and some of the people, you know, they got the what you call computer engineering also. And I'm really very happy for that because I have also a role to play in that one. So we encourage the artists to send their children to the school. But at the same time, you try to teach them your art form. Whenever they need, I think let them perform. But don't drag them to the what you call only the performance. Yeah. To be frank, it's a lot of things are there in that narration. So why I have taken this topic is most of us just we go in the morning and we record a few songs or few tales with a few 2 or 3 people and come to our desk and we try to write articles and books. I can definitely tell you, you are only writing your own views on folklore. If you want to see what is folklore from their perspective, it's not, what is called external. What we need to see is from internal. As a part of my department, you know, when we were documenting the village law, by taking village as a one smallest unit for documentation, who stay together for 15 to 18 days at a stretch. Even you may not believe who have recorded even by 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. Why? Because in some villages, it's a the season, harvest season. So they have to prepare food and take food to the field. and they start by 1 or 2 o'clock, they prepare food, and they take bath and everything, they go there, and they come again night. So before that, we have to return. We were with them by 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So documentation should be done at the interest of the what called informant. We have to make them to go in trance. Then only you get lot of information. Otherwise, it may not be the folklore information. The oral memory culture is very important to study folklore even right now. To extract the memory culture, you have to stay with them. First, they need to trust you, and you should not disturb him. And most of the people, when they are telling, they want to write it down. And they ask the our informant, please stop, let me complete. So like that, it's a kind of a disturbance. If it is a disturbance, I think you will not get what exactly you need to get. So who need patience? Who need passion towards our folklore? And we need commitment. So then only we can do wonders in folklore field. So this is my humble suggestion to all the scholars. Okay, thank you. Brahmandar Reddy, he raised some question. Kaka Padagalu text and the Kagu, the Vedian Atakalu, they are two different art forms. In the Natakam or a dramatic art form, someone is writing that time, and this group is adopting that time with some variation. So that is called performance text or commission text, whatever it be the thing. But in the scroll narration, they use the conventional text. That means the text is the property of that community. It is a part of their family tradition. So they take it as a part of their community. It's a narration. We have, there is no, what you call, verse. It's not singing. It's not song. But they narrate as if it is a song. And they also involved with the, what you call, in the prosodic form. Prose as well as they try to narrate the story in prose, but with a tune. It's a kind of tune is there. It's not one. And that text is a conventional text. In a conventional text, it's a property of the what is called the hereditary performance. If it is what is called hereditary, they have restrictions to narrate the story. There is a specific time. There is a specific place. So all such items are included in the conventional text. Whereas in the commission text, you perform wherever you like. But Kangundi, that is a Kangundi style is different. And the same Vedic article, it is performed as a part of the Draupadi festival, is different. Because if it is a part of the Draupadi festival, naturally the ritual aspect will come in. When the ritual aspect is there, naturally it attains the sacred status. So that's important. So all our Vedic articles, they have a dual role where it is performed, whether it's a ritual context or in non-ritual. So depending on that. Yeah. If their board community, if there are, sir, why there are Bharatbhat, how the other sections of present day society react towards them. Bharatbhat, as you know, you also has involved in most of the performances. When we organized state level festivals by inviting 2,000 folk artists in 2001, when it was the first time, they were astonished to see such a variety of folk arts. because sorry, because all these years, they confined to only their own area and to their own villages where they can perform. But this is the place where they have seen 164 art forms covering 2,000 folk artists covering 64 art forms have come together and they stayed for 4 days. So naturally, they enjoyed it like anything. So now you can see the trend in Telangana. When we collected information on folk artists, all these artists were not identified as artists by the whatever people of that village. According to them, they were the beggars. But nowadays, even the people from that village, they are forced to, recognize these people as the artists. They are not the beggars. They are the artists. So I think such kind of tremendous transformation has taken place among the folk artist groups in the present day context.
Good, Shruti.
So it was indeed a very enriching session. On behalf of Department of Modern Indian Languages and Literary Studies, I would like to thank you for your time, for your efforts, for all the explanation that you gave so patiently and with such kindness. Thank you so much, sir.
Well,
And
thank
I
you.
would.
Yeah, thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you.
So with this, we come to the conclusion.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Okay.
Patnaik sir, for organizing this. Thank you, Venkat sir, for the technical handling, and all the audience members. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Narayanappa. Namaste.